Mute everyone. And we will adjourn or start the meeting. Welcome to Rogue Gateway Rotary Club. We are going to start with a pledge and inspiration, but I need a volunteer for the pledge. Does anyone? I see Mike Bird. Mike, go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And is Leonora on? I don't see her. Does anybody have an inspiration they want to share today?
I can do one.
Go ahead, Bev.
Okay. If today gets difficult, remember the smell of coffee, the way sunlight bounces off a window, the sound of your favorite person's laugh, the feeling when a song you love comes on, the color of the sky at dusk, and that we are here to take care of each other. Unknown.
Very lovely. Thank you. All right. Do we have, I know we have several guests with us today. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? Looking through my list. Okay, I know we do have some guests today and some special guests that we're going to introduce. See here. I think we have some prospective members, perhaps. Allison Kavanagh, am I getting that last name correct? Kavanagh? Patty, you want to introduce her?
Yeah, so Allison came last time. She's submitted her application. The only one problem with the application, they gave me a small little area to describe her attributes and how she would help Rotary. And I think I needed a couple more pages. But I turned it in.
Wonderful. Welcome, Allison. And we will introduce Jim Fong, who's going to be our speaker a little bit later. I'm looking through.
Gina Marie,
yes.
were you going to do a first posting on Dan Mata?
I was. So it's just getting to that. We have Dan Mata with us again. He has had his interview with the engagement committee, and the board has put him through for posting. So this is his first posting. We'll do 2 of those, and then he can be inducted hopefully very soon. So welcome, Dan.
Hello.
And then we have an actual, we have a new member to introduce today. I'm looking for Steve Rowe because I know he is Steve Rowe, you're on here. I can't see you. Where'd you go? There you are, Steve. You were on my second page of Zoom boxes. So Steve Rowe has sponsored our newest member, Judy Basker, who is actually coming to us from another Rotary Club. So hello to Judy. And Steve, did you want to introduce her? And
okay. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Judy. She's really no stranger to the community. The Basker family's been around a long time, and Judy has recently taken on a career change, and I think she's the word be retired as the RCC Foundation Executive Director, and she did a wonderful job there. I've worked with her on several projects, back pages, sneak preview, different funds we've had set up and requests, and she's just a real good community advocate and a person that I think will just thoroughly enjoy our club, and glad to have you aboard, Judy.
yeah. Welcome. Judy, did you want to share anything with the club and let us get to know you a little bit better?
No, I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you, everybody. I'm super glad I lived long enough to retire. Yay! And I absolutely love Rotary. My experience in the Medford Rogue Rotary Club was really terrific, but I was there primarily as a part of my outreach to Jackson County being at RCC, and we didn't have much presence there in the community. And I'm really happy to be retired now, back in Grants Pass and joining up with this crew. And I know just a whole lot of you, and I'm really excited to be here. I don't know who I've known the longest, maybe Debbie Brownell. We were in band together. Hi. So yeah, thanks everybody. Nice to see you.
Wonderful.
you.
We're very excited to have you. So welcome. Did I miss anyone? Don't think so. Okay. Wonderful. Well, welcome to everyone. Couple of announcements. One, we would normally have a social tonight, being the last Thursday of the month, but given the heat, we assumed that folks wouldn't really want to be sitting outside in triple-digit weather. So we're going to postpone. We also have one of our former youth exchange students, Yetta, will be visiting from August 2nd to August 11th. And so we're trying to find a date to maybe schedule a little social that we can get together and see her. So look for that information coming out soon, hopefully. We also met as a club or as a board yesterday and approved a budget. We'll share that with you in the Navigator so you can see what we're doing with our funds for the club. The other thing that we discussed last night was in-person meetings. As you all know, we're working very diligently to try to get back to in-person meetings. The decision we've made is that the Wild River Pub is probably our best option at this point for many reasons. And so we're going to start working with the pub and with the Grants Pass Rotary Club that meets on Wednesday to get all of the tech set up so that we can continue to do hybrid meetings. And our goal is to try to get back to in-person meetings at the pub by the beginning of September. Potentially a little bit earlier if things work out, but definitely by the beginning of September, we should be meeting back at the pub. And we'll just try it out for a while and see how that works. And hopefully it goes smoothly and we can have that options that we will be truly hybrid. So for all of those of you who are excited to get back in person in just a few more weeks, give us some time to get the tech set up and we'll be back in person. Does anybody have any questions about that? Going forward, or any of the board members want to add anything? Okay. Wynn is not available today to give a healthcare update, but I wanted to see if Val, we haven't seen you in a while. Is there anything new with the city?
Well, things kind of keep rolling around as they always do. It is nice to be back here. I have had some glitches with my computer, so it is really nice to be back and feel that I can give you some input. I'll just kind of give you the latest, and I'm sure that Patty and Doug might have some more input as well. But I'm going to call it the Navigation Center because I no longer want to call it the Urban Campground because that has a horrible context that really throws people off. The contract has been approved with All Care Foundation, but there's been a glitch in that the Rogue Retreat is kind of in a holding pattern right now, and they don't necessarily want to commit to be the service provider, which means that we're kind of in a holding pattern until we find the next steps and get an idea, because part of the contract with All Care is to have that provider. So in terms of buying or purchasing the land, we need to come to some sort of resolution with that. So I think we're going to have a discussion on August 3rd in executive session, and maybe there'll be more information at that point in time. At our next August 3rd meeting, we will also have a second reading or on the psilocybin, whether to put that out to voters. The county is putting it on the county ballot to have people approve of whether they want to approve or disapprove it in our community. But the city in the first reading chose not to put it on the ballot within the city. So our second reading of that will be on Wednesday night as well. I did want to compliment, I thought that name just left me. I was going to actually get on here and thank her for her letter to the guest editorial last week about it. If you have, if you want to talk to the council about it, you're welcome to email them if you do not agree, or if you want it to be on the ballot, to have the voters decide whether to move forward with that. Anyway, but you would need to talk to them because they would need to change their vote, the people who voted to not put it on the ballot. So that's coming up the second reading on August 3rd as well. And then we've also got, of course, you know that the public safety, the county is in severe public safety crisis on July 23rd, which would be next July. They need to come up with some solution to fund their sheriff deputies. And those of us who've been around for a number of years know what 2012 looked like when we did not have sheriff deputies, and it was not pretty. So that is a solution they're trying to find a way to fix. One of their options is a sales tax, a seasonal sales tax, 3%. And they came to us with their numbers. And one of the top focuses or goals that we have set this last year is to try to stabilize the city's public safety funding as well. Last year, of course, we had a $2 million shortfall, so we had to make some cuts. This year, our finances are a little bit better. And so we're trying to put some another police officer back. And of course, we have a crisis because we are on a 3-year cycle of a tax levy. And when you have public safety based on a 3 to 5 year cycle, you have a hard time retaining people. And so we lose a lot of our police officers to other areas because they have more stable funding. So it is a crisis whether, we have a much better system, but it is a crisis. So we have decided to support the 3% sales tax, because that could bring in $8 million to the city, which if that were the case and it were to bring it in, we could get rid of the, I don't know if we get rid of it, but bring down the safety levy in proportion to however much money comes in as a result of the sales tax. And I know nobody likes the word sales tax, but I think when you're trying to stabilize, you have to look for diversity. And right now, everything, all of our funding comes from property taxes. And there's an extra $2 million that gets drained from our general support every year. So we really need to look at other options. So some of us council members are really making a commitment to get out into the community a lot to try to explain the situation, understanding the tax structure and how really this, this tax structure goes clear back to 1996 and it's flawed. And so if we are serious about public safety, we need to look at it and restructure. So that's my little speech. I think that's for the most part what's going on. We are also in the background trying to figure out the housing crisis, how to get more affordable housing. We're having a roundtable discussion with builders, financiers coming up in the next month. To build an action plan to try to find a way to get more housing in our community, because it is a crisis, as our speaker will talk to us about today, I'm sure as well. So that's it for me.
Kelly,
Talked long enough.
I
Oh,
see
Kelly.
you have a hand.
I said, Kelly.
Just a thought, Val, something that you said about urban campground having a different name. Is it possible that we could do the same thing with sales tax? Because as soon as you say sales tax, nobody's going to vote for it. So could we like rebrand it or something?
Well, I think that's a great idea. I think seasonal kind of helps a little bit because it's not a year-round tax, it's a seasonal. So it's just basically try to get some help from outsiders. I don't know about any of you, but I travel, and everywhere I travel, I pay sales tax, and I don't travel to the next community or say, I'm not going to go to that state because I have to pay a sales tax. So I agree, Kelly, we need to restructure that. And I am kind of one of the ones leading it. So thank you for that. I will do all I can to try to find some other language that's more amenable to the general public. So thank you.
Margaret.
Yes. Aside from the fact that sales tax probably wouldn't pass in this county, I have a lot of reservations about giving the county commissioners any additional funds that they could use any way they wanted to. As we saw with the library when we passed a levy to operate the library and they used the money for something else. And a sales tax, could be used just about for anything. Even if you say we're going to use it for public safety, Whereas maybe a special taxing district for this sheriff's office might be a better idea. That, where you had to have a board and it would be separate from the county taxes.
Interesting.
Just
Yeah,
a
I didn't
thought.
realize that the library board had that problem, because I do know that I know we commit all of our money to public safety, and I don't exactly know how they run their business and how they do that. But I do know they have taken loans against things, but they've also, as far as I know, repaid them. But that's something for me to look into. So, okay. Any other questions?
Don't see
All right.
any hands.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you, Valerie, and
quiet.
welcome back. It's good to have you.
Mhm.
Tommy, you wanted to make an announcement. Oh, you gotta unmute.
There we go. Sorry.
No
So
worries.
anyway, Rotary Friendship Exchange is tentatively starting up again. As some of you will recall, I had to come home early from the Philippines when I was on a Rotary Friendship Exchange there in March of 2019. Anyway, yay COVID, but this is all dependent on what happens with COVID. But I wanted to let you all know, and if you are interested in any of these places, just let me know and I'll connect you up with the right place. I know the district website's not working right now, and that is where you get the app, but Cape Town in South Africa is one of them, tentatively October 23. Southern Louisiana wants to come here in October, and we would go there in April of 23. We're working with the Philippines again. They want us to come back. Well, I would love to go back, but anyway, maybe Lisa too. She got to get well though first, but and then maybe we would go there in February of 23. Actually, the weather's really good then. Then Canada, the Atlantic states, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, etc. That would be in April or May of 23. And maybe down the road, Tuscany, Italy. So there's lots of these things are coming up. Margaret and Greg went on a Rotary Friendship Exchange. I did, and I don't know who else, but they're really kind of fun. You stay in the Rotarians' homes, so that cost of hotels and where to stay and what's the okay place in another place is taken care of. These folks are great. And then we have them all come here and we take care of them in our homes. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tommy. Yeah, so definitely that's one of the nice perks of Rotary is that there are Rotarians all over the world, and it's once you're a Rotarian, you're welcomed by other Rotarians, and so this is a great opportunity to get to visit another place and meet other folks, like-minded folks, and have a good time. So check that out if you're interested. Are there any other announcements?
I'll take one.
Oh, Steve and then Doug.
Okay. This one, it just came in from Steve Swearingen, and at yesterday's Rotary Club meeting for the Wednesday Club, the Grants Pass Rotary Club, they had the, I think it was this week, but anyway, the physician from Poland that helped the club raise so much money. And so our club received a club banner from their club, as well as a letter of gratitude for the help that our club did in addition to, and it really shows the power of Rotary, how everybody came together to help that club, help the people of Ukraine. And there's also, this is the downside of having a Zoom meeting, is I can't show you this beautiful picture that they did. I'll bring it to the meeting week in September, but it's just a beautiful picture that was done as a thank you to our club. And so thank you to all the club members that helped contribute to that, and the community as well. So it was a really effort to come together.
Yeah. Doug.
Yes, so I sent out a email this morning about an opportunity to help at the homeless shelter in Grants Pass over near the hospital. That shelter is in need of people willing to bring a meal for roughly 25 people during the evenings, an evening meal. And so if you're interested, there's a sign up there in that email. It's pretty simple and fun thing to do. Just cook your favorite casserole or a couple of your favorite casseroles, and then bring them on in there, and they really appreciate it. And it's a significant need right now, because I found out yesterday in the meeting that the area manager, Lisa Michaelis, has been doing that for the last couple of weeks because they've had some problems getting volunteers to show up to do that. So she's been doing it every night, cooking meals for everybody, and that's going to burn her out, and we don't need to do that. So maybe enough of us could sign up, or if we're involved with other groups that are interested in doing things like that. It's a nice one, and it's pretty easy to do.
Thank you, Doug. Anything else? Oh, Jody, I see your hands.
Thank you. Just a quick reminder, I sent out an email also just yesterday, I believe it was, or maybe 4, in regards to some opportunities to work fair gates to help out with the posse. We've got older membership and lesser people, so we can't really fill all the different slots. So we turn around, and if our Rotarians help like we have in the past, we turn around and give you the money to come to the club in regards to what we're making. So they're paying us right now $12 an hour. So a 3-hour shift would be $36. So if anybody has time on Friday or Saturday, get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to put you down, and would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate the help.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jody. Anything else? Okay, so today we have a presentation about the Rogue Workforce Partnership. Jim Fong is here to speak to us. And Kelly, were you going to introduce him?
Yes, I'd love to.
Thank you.
So, Jim, it's a little hard to introduce you. You are a stellar person. He served, for instance, as the executive director of the Rogue Workforce Partnership since 2006. This is his present job. This nonprofit organization catalyzes and creates dynamic workforce solutions with leaders from both business, industry, also K-12 education, which I didn't realize, higher education, workforce, labor, economic development. He's going to be telling us all about that, and other community partners that are part of this. The focus is on industries that drive our region's economic vitality with their high skill, high wage, and high demand career pathways. What has he done in the past, this busy boy? He served as a senior associate at the Annie E. Casey Foundation, which I hear about all the time on NPR, where he led public sector systems transformation initiatives in multiple states that improved the lives of disadvantaged children and their families. His earlier experiences included serving as a state administrator, as well as Rogue Valley Regional Manager for the Department of Human Services. He's worked on the Job Council here, Assistant Director of Cooperative Education at the University of Arkansas. So you took a little journey there. Graduated from Rutgers, and a bachelor is in environmental planning, which is an awesome degree to have. Also served on the faculty for the National Governors Association Police Academy. This boy is well-rounded. So without further ado, I'm going to give the baton over to you, Jim.
Thank you so much. And it's great to see some familiar faces and names. Gina, it's great to see you again, and others. Been a while with all of the COVID stuff. I'm going to dive into this quickly. I erred on the side of giving you too much information, so I'm going to talk fast. And it reminds me of the old Saturday Night Live show with Hans and Franz. Listen to me now and kind of hear me later and process it a bit later. So I'm going to start off with a briefing about what the Workforce Board is and the work we do. And as Callie was describing, we bring a lot of partners to the table. That's our major role, is to convene and facilitate and create an aligned workforce system. Can you all see the slide okay? Slide deck okay? So there are 9 workforce boards across the state. These are public-private partnerships. They're nonprofit organizations. They're industry-led. They are federal and state authorized under a federal law called the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And as Kelly was saying, we are focused on targeted industry sectors that have high wage, high skill, high demand career pathways. And they're the jobs that fuel the economic prosperity, because we are working mostly with traded sector companies that are wealth multipliers and wealth importers to our region. We don't provide direct service as a workforce board. We provide oversight, evaluation, and we catalyze this innovation and the systems transformation. And you'll see more about this in a second. This is our strategic roadmap. You can see on the left-hand side the vision and the mission. I'm not going to read it. You can go to our website and dig into it. Just know that our website still got some sections on it that need some cleaning up and some aligning. But the strategic roadmap on the right, we are following John Doerr's model of objectives and key results. It's a great book called Measure What Matters. It's our focus on two binocular objectives primarily. We want to see sector businesses grow through a workforce that aligns to meet their needs. And we also want them to be, as the Rogue Valley, a leader in the reduction of poverty in the state and the nation. So we want to have the rising tide lift all boats, but also understanding that businesses really fuel our economic prosperity and vitality. Without them, there is no tax base, there are no jobs, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have government services. We need to fuel, particularly those businesses that fuel high wage, high career pathway jobs. We are focused on, you see these kind of 5 buckets of work here. Targeted industry sectors drive the work. I'll show a slide on that in a minute. It's really creating a demand-driven education system and workforce system that's spearheaded by these traded sector industries that fuel the regional economy with these high wage, high demand jobs. As part of that, then we also primarily want to focus on reimagining the K-12 education system. I'll speak more about this as well in a minute, but it's really creating a seamless K-12 education systems that align to fill this talent pipeline. Same thing, public workforce system. I'll talk more about that with some more slides later. Similarly, aligned to meet the needs so that we can really generate prosperity for everyone, businesses as well as job seekers and career seekers of any age, demographic, et cetera, coming in our communities. And then we are leading a pilot in the state on longitudinal data analytics. This is piloting the use of longitudinal data so we can create customer typologies and do data analytics to really inform our work, particularly with disparate incomes with different populations. And finally, our big focus on all this, the lens we do this all through, is with an equity and a holistic focus. And it's not just equity for us. We'll talk more about the equity side of it later, but it's also this holistic. How do we really help people and individuals grow from the inside out, from the bottom up, to be able to get into jobs and have the skills that then are specific to an occupation or a wage. So I'm just that's kind of a nutshell. If I had to talk about nothing else, I would just talk about these things and what we're doing as a workforce board. We have 27 members on our board. It is a 51% majority of private sector leaders. Our chair is Jessica Gomez. We have folks like Sean Hogan from Links Technology, Asante is Vice President of Human Resources, Norm Kester from Quantum Innovations, business sector leaders, but also balancing that with our K-12 and higher education and workforce system partner leaders. So I was just in a meeting this morning with Rick Bailey, the new SOU president, Randy Weber, new RCC president, Tim Sweeney, the new Grants Pass School District superintendent, Beth Champion, school superintendent from Medford School District. How do we create that aligned system with them and our other agency and other labor and other workforce community partners? That's really a very comprehensive systems strategy, bringing all the partners together and trying to create this alignment over time. Just diving deeply, quickly, just to give you a flavor of the industry sectors. This is a slide that coming from our Road Careers webpage. We just launched this page in 2021. You can see here we are focusing on these sectors that have these high wage, high career pathway jobs and or that are critical to the economic vitality of the region. So healthcare has that, manufacturing has that, construction. We added natural resources in the last 18 months or so because of the wildfires and the need for those workers. Transportation, we need supply chain workers to kind of make sure we have the goods and services, technology, and then we're just deliberating on adding, we're starting to work with them already, childcare, early learning education, as well as really the rest of our social service partners and our education system. Because if we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough childcare workers, people can't go to work. That's what we're seeing in the labor market reality. Just to give you a flavor of those. And I already said, these are wealth importers, wealth multipliers, mostly traded sectors, which means they sell their goods and services outside a region or outside a state. They bring in money that otherwise would not come to the valley. So it's beyond the service economy in that regard. Just dig a little bit into reimagining K-12 education. This was the meeting I was just in with all these folks on the left-hand side of the column. We are looking to create a more seamlessness between high school experience, K-12 experience, and the post-secondary experience. So creating a better access to those college and career pathways, creating meta majors and career pathways, creating a guaranteed admission for students coming out of the high schools with a certain GPA, creating common course numbering, creating short-term credentials such as badges and certificates, really trying to systematize this as a system across our whole region. The other piece we're working on with a couple of school districts, the pilot, is really trying to create what we're calling future ready training. The other name I call it is next generation youth and adult apprenticeships. This is really saying, hey, can a high school student work and get paid as a part-time employee in a job in a field they're actually studying in school to explore as a career pathway? So whether it's construction or manufacturing or healthcare, instead of necessarily just saying, oh, I want to work at a service job or a fast food job, et cetera, might they start getting exposed to those industries and actually make connections and say, hey, these are really either something, this is something I want to do, or something that's like, and I want to drill down into and I want to do more training in it. This is something that Georgia did with manufacturing 21 years ago. They imported a model from Germany. Colorado imported this model from Switzerland about 2016 or so. And it's in Colorado, it's across multiple industries. So this is something we're also working on to kind of create this kind of more seamless pathway and connection from high school and throughout the adult experience into good career pathways. We also have this on our Road Careers website, this Tradeify app. It takes 90 seconds. You can do it on a smartphone. Go to Road Careers, go to that Tradeify section on career planning. It takes you 90 seconds to do this, do it with your family members, etc. You can see here, it's all picture-based and it's just picking me or not me. And it gives you a personality assessment that then shows you then different career pathway opportunities that might be interested. So it's really an interest and personality survey tool. And we already have 14 schools already using this to kind of create this pathway process. So that's kind of in a nutshell, some high level stuff of what we're doing with education. On the public workforce system, reimagining WorkSource Rogue Valley. WorkSource Oregon is a statewide name for the public workforce system. It is a career one-stop center. There's a facility in Grants Pass on F Street, right across from Sears. It gives you access, one-stop access to multiple state agencies and services, including Employment Department, Department of Human Services employment programs, for SNAP and TANF, Voc Rehab, Commission for the Blind, RCC's Adult Basic Skills can be accessed there. Seniors and homeless veteran services from Easter Seals, et cetera. You can see the list there. And Project Youth Plus, which is our grants wonderful. They're actually our service provider for youth services. What you see on the right-hand side here is the kinds of services that are available in this top row of boxes for people coming through the center. And it's really helping to help them explore, help them get ready to be able to get into career paths, whether through resumes or exploration work, et cetera, things like that, and actual then training. How do we augment what people might do if they go directly to RCC or at SOU or one of the trade schools like Pacific Healthcare Training or the phlebotomy school? How do we aid and abet them? Perhaps give them a scholarship, perhaps it's an internship, perhaps it's an on-the-job training, and connect them to those employers that are hungry for these workers with these skill sets. And the other piece that we want to add on to this is we want to build a whole career accelerator. So what's next past that entry-level job? So what you see here, this is about Youth Build. This is from their Youth Build webpage, Project Youth Plus webpage. These are the kinds of services they offer. These are the kinds of investments they're making and the kind of return on investments they're making with kids. So it's a really comprehensive youth, adult, let's do the whole continuum of potential workers in the scheme of things. And many of you are familiar with Project Youth Plus and the great work they do across the whole region. Really. So great organization that way. I think the piece here we're really trying to create is a seamlessness. In most states and in our state in particular, all these organizations are in their kind of siloed fragments. Our job as a board is to weave that together and create a seamless system. And to do that so we can braid and stack the funds so we can provide these kinds of seamless services, whether it's paid internships or on-the-job training or scholarships to help aid and abet in addition to financial aid to colleges, stipends for people who can't afford to do some of this stuff while they're getting training, support services, and this career accelerator piece I talked about. Let's add on and help people move, like you can see here on the bottom, help people move from a CNA1, Certified Nurse Assistant, to CNA2, to LPN to RN. We're actively having those conversations with Asante right now. Helping people go from an environmental service technician, which is Asante's fancy name for a janitor or a cleaner, to really become a sterile processing tech, to become a surge tech. There's a career pathway there. You can start off at one and go to the other. We desperately need caretakers. We need childcare workers. We need construction workers. And how do we get them at the entry level and help progress them up a career pathway so they can get into family wage jobs? firefighters, helping them get their EMT or their CDL or next steps to become forestry year-round eco stewardship workers. So you can see that whole continuum we're trying to build and that pathway we're trying to build for folks. We are doing this through a comprehensive communications engagement strategy. Road Careers is the epicenter of that. We've done targeted TV ads, although those are targeted. We do a lot of social media. We're partnering with the school districts and the colleges, all the colleges, to kind of create a seamless communication pathway so that this is all available and we connect. Road Careers connects everybody to everything. WorkSource Road Valley, RCC, SOU, these trade schools, et cetera. Post-secondary training, most people do need something. Even if they start the job first, what's the next level of training to help them move up that career pathway? How do we get that message out? And how do we tell success stories? So that's key to this puzzle. We got tons of success stories. Go to that Road Careers webpage, look at these success stories. There's some great videos. I can also add a few more slides to this and send it out to you all if you want to see some of those great videos of success stories we're seeing with some of this stuff. And I just got to tell you, we're not making this stuff up. We are making a lot of this up because it's based on our own instincts and intuition as region, but we have a lot of affirmation from a lot of national kind of leading thinking partners and innovators, including Harvard Business School and some of their leaders, MIT, the National Governors Association. We're on this track to do this kind of exact systems transformation work, and it's aligned with what the national best practice thinkers are thinking already. And then the last piece I would share on this is that some of you may have heard, Future Ready Oregon is a comprehensive $200 million package of workforce investments that came out just this past legislative session, got signed into law. It's rolling out as we speak right now. What you see here is the list of the $200 million, how it breaks out and is being distributed. The workforce boards, including our region, are in orange here. We get kind of a total of about $35 million after they take the administration stuff off the top. And we're going to get probably about 9% of the total of that. So we're going to invest that into these exact same strategies. And then RCC got a little bit for career pathways. There's another $95 million in workforce ready grants that are going to be let out from the state. We're helping and partnering to kind of figure out how we can draw down our fair share of that, which is 9-10% is our usual share. We want to get at least $8-9 million of that 97 million, 95 million. And so that's another piece of the puzzle that we're weaving in to all the other funding streams that we already kind of have in place and are going on. So the final couple pieces here, longitudinal data analytics. What this is in a nutshell, we're piloting this effort, as I said, it's really to improve, the objective is to improve education, workforce, and other life outcomes using these leading edge data analytic methods. It's building on best practices from a lot of organizations have done before. You can see the list of partners that are driving this. We hope to we've been stalled out a bit with COVID, but we're hoping to kind of really get into it in the coming months and scale this to the rest of the state to really use data to help us better address or better configure services to different populations that have disparate incomes. So that's just in a nutshell what we're trying to do there. I think I'll skip this slide because it's really, well, I'll talk about it quickly. It's really taking a public health epidemiologic approach to improving outcomes. But instead of trying to reduce morbidity, we're trying to improve positive outcomes. This is a chart that shows infant mortality rate in England back from 1930 to 2001. You can see the disparate incomes depending on whether you were manual labor or professional or intermediate. And you can see over 70 years how that disparity decreased. That's what we're trying to do, is accelerate this so it doesn't take 70 years. Using the data analytics to identify discrete populations, say, what can we do to move that needle for that population? This is a Sankey chart. It's a fancy graphic term that looks at the graduating class from 2006 public high school sophomores. And you can see 41,000 across the state, 74 graduated high school. That means 26% didn't graduate high school, which is a big issue for our region. 68% started post-secondary, only 27% completed. And then what we want to do is link wage data to this and really be able to drill down, again, to move the outcomes forward for any discrete population, whether they're in K through 12, early learning, post-secondary, or in the workforce. It's all the above. How do we improve third grade reading level numbers? How do we improve 8th grade math numbers? How do we improve high school graduation? All the above. It's a comprehensive process. Let's see, I just clicked on that and it unfortunately started trying to share a screen. Let me shut that down. Excuse me. Oh, there we go. The last piece, holistic equity focus. The equity focus, I think many folks are aware of. We're trying to address rural poverty, intergenerational poverty. We have a high population of Latino population here. How do we make sure that their needs are being met and they're kind of rising up in their outcome issues? People with disabilities, ex-offenders. What are the different populations that we need to lift up in that rising tide for all boats in the scheme of things? And you can see here the rural poverty chart here for Oregon. Josephine County is one of the orange high numbers in the state, and Jackson County is not that far behind in terms of poverty rates. We are, as a region, also the holistic side of this. Casey Alderton from Three Rivers School District, Jeanette Trump, who used to be at Dutch Bros, the HR director there, they helped us develop this along with a whole team of school district and community college partners and workforce partners. This is what we call employability skills rubric. As you can see, these soft skills that employers are in high demand for on the left-hand side, and a rubric to say, where are we? We're using this to help build those skills. This is something that every school district is using in some way or another in the region. The colleges are using it, our workforce centers are using it for all these different populations, and it's tied to connecting them to these basic essential employability skills for our target sector companies, as well as all the other businesses that hire for these soft skills. But the challenge is, how do you build these skills? And this is a pyramid chart that comes from the Department of Labor. You can see here at the bottom, personal effectiveness skills is a foundation. Then it's academic competencies, then it's workplace competencies across the board. Then you get into specific technical competencies by industry. There's one of these charts for every major industry in the country. We added this bottom section. We need to kind of break through on this. We need to kind of help develop people's social emotional well-being. We need to focus on mindfulness, self-regulation, grit, emotional intelligence. So what we're doing with that is we're offering through our one-stop centers right now, one-on-one life coaching and short seminars on essential employability skills. A ton of videos on this with the Empower website, changing people's lives. They're saying it's absolutely changed. It's like helping them to recalibrate negative behavior patterns and life assumptions they've had quickly within a few sessions, that really helping them to kind of move forward and say, I want to move forward with my life and get an education and do great things in my career. So that's what we're building, is that foundational personal effectiveness skill level. We're also partnering with the Learning Well Wing Seminar Group, sending people to that. I encourage folks to look at these testimonials. They're great testimonials to tell the story. My final piece is, this is a basket woven from the Tohono O'odham tribe in southwest Arizona. It's a very unique, this is a one of a kind. What it emerges is two icons here. One is the person in the maze, which is the people going through and trying to find their path in life. The other is this dance, this fellowship of dancers on the outside. And that's, to me, what we are, between Rotary and our workforce board and our community partners. How do we wrap around and help people find their path in life to become successful? I think it's a wonderful symbol of what we're trying to do as a workforce board. I'm going to stop there and pause. I know we're short on time. If you want more information, I have a few more slides from our labor market economist to give you a kind of hint on where we're at in actual workforce numbers. But I'll pause there to see if you want me to actually do that or not. We have the time.
Well, I'll start, Jim. Wow, I was so impressed hearing all of this, especially after hearing last week's ACEs talk that was given, and how similar these are. So how should a Rotarian consider getting involved? I know for me, you touched me when you talked about intergenerational poverty.
Yep.
And I noticed you mentioned Project Youth as one way that could be dealt with. I also was very impressed with the partnership with trades for students who want to work as well as go to school, because that's really needed. But here we are, Rotary. How can we help? How should we be involved?
That's a great question, Millie. And I'd have to think about it a little bit, but off the top of my head, and you all, Rotary is just amazing to me, and you do so many cool things internationally, nationally, regionally. I think it's a great question for you all to ponder. I'm happy. My Chief Operating Officer, Heather Stafford, be happy to have more follow-up conversations to kind of figure out where are the places we can plug in. You already do scholarships, you do all sorts, you do fundraising, you do investments, you volunteer time, as you're talking about the homeless. We're looking to partner up with, whether it's Road Retreat or the different partners, say, how do we, help partner to create, when people are ready for the employment and training pathway, how do we get them plug you into this kind of stuff? So part of it is just knowing that you can refer people to WorkSource. If they that's the one-stop center. So if they're looking for a good career pathway, say, hey, go to the Worksource Center or go to their website or go to Road Careers. That's one place. The other place I could see doing is things like, if you want to volunteer time and energy, I think we have such an amazing array of partners, whether it's with Project Youth Plus or whether it's at the school districts or whether we're totally linked in. I was one of the founding members of Southern Early Success and that whole focus that we did on adverse childhood experiences. All the work we're doing is being informed by trauma-informed care and how do we address and overcome adverse childhood experiences and that kind of intergenerational impact on poverty and those other factors. So I think I'd have to think about it more, but that's what comes to the top of my mind. And let's talk more. Let's make sure that you have plug and play places. I think we need to kind of make sure that that's available on our website. I got to tell you, I just was in the meeting with all the college presidents and the superintendents, and we talked about we have to work together to scale up the services and the programs we already know work. Some of that, this long-term strategy might be, if we don't have enough money, how do we get volunteers to help with that? So I think there's a lot of ways for us in that circle, that basket icon, how do we come together as a fellowship of dancers to weave together? And honestly, to me, I think it's something that I've been working on since I've been back here in 2006. I worked on the whole time I was in Oregon, living in Oregon from 1990 to I think 2001. I think it's years, if not decades, of commitment. I know Gina and Steve and others around the table here. This is a long-term. Let's play the long game. Go for the short-term wins, but just how do we come? We have an amazing set of communities in our region. We're so partnership oriented. We're so into collaboration. How do we hook it up? So more of these conversations is part of what I'd say process. Anybody want to see the labor market data, or is that not interesting enough?
I think we may, and I know we've got a couple of hands up.
Okay.
Kate Dwyer, did you have something you wanted to?
Hi, Jim. It's nice to see you and hear your presentation.
Good to see you, Kate.
One of the challenges that I am working on in my community is the geographic rural isolation that people face in the Illinois Valley community. And because so many of our agencies are not talking to each other, they don't realize that they're all jumping ship on the IV at the same time.
Oh, no.
UCAN, Veterans Services,
Oh,
just lots of different organizations are leaving because presumably the difficulty in the commute. We're losing WIC. And
oh gosh,
I'd
so
like
sorry
to learn more about how people can utilize the services without having to drive to Grants Pass.
Absolutely.
Are there video opportunities? And then also I'm really working on putting together a summit of Illinois Valley service providers with regard to services in the Illinois Valley. And possibly getting them to be really innovative in sharing an office in the Family Coalition and picking a day when they're going to be there. Do you think that there are any, tell me a little bit about what people can do without driving into Grants Pass, and do you think that there are opportunities to bring services to outposts like the Valley?
It's a great question. We pivoted very quickly when COVID hit and implemented, we actually launched the Road Careers website just as it was starting. And then, so I think that's one piece of it. And it's not perfect. We're really open to collaboration and like any insights or improvements. It's a continual work in process. It's just like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. As soon as you finish, you start over again. So it's a never-ending project. But the other thing we did with Worksource Centers is we said we're bringing in a online platform. We brought it in from called Podium. We learned about it from Brent Kell, who's on our board, who's the CEO for Valley Media Care. He uses it for all of his urgent care centers. It's basically a all-in-one platform that allows us on the Worksource side of things to basically communicate with our customers in any modality they want: texting, emails, phone calls, web chats. So I think that we are set up, and particularly in this age of Zoom and our video conferencing calls, et cetera, there are lots of ways to do this. And I'm so glad you mentioned it, Kate, because I think I would love to have some of our staff and Worksource staff meet up with when you have that meeting in Illinois, because I think what we need to do is we need to create that family center, which when I worked at DHS, I helped write the grant with Josephine County that got the enterprise community, got the family centers set up in Wolf Creek and in Illinois Valley. I love what that partnership is all about. So I think what we need to do is create that up as an affiliate site that people can access it remotely. We're in the age of Zoom. there's this, it's kind of like remote medicine, telemedicine. We can do this remotely a lot. The challenge though, at the end of the day is for at the end of the day though, most jobs, some jobs will allow telecommuting, many jobs require you to be there in person. And the challenge I've always seen with the Illinois Valley is how do we kind of, it seems like a very big barrier to get over the up and down the hill and to get even to Grants Pass. And when we were helping Rough and Ready and all those folks kind of get resettled in different jobs, we had some people commuting to RCC's Table Rock campus because that's where the training was. And we helped them pay the training, and the long-term job for them was going to be in White City, you know.
Right, and in the end, people might decide to relocate, but they can't make that
absolutely
decision
right
without connecting. Yeah.
I used to say that to welfare clients when I was going out to Illinois Valley and meeting with them, because I said, listen, look at me. I'm fourth, fifth generation Chinese American. My ancestors migrated to look for a better job from China to the US. You know, it's, you know, maybe it's worth, you know, depends on what's important to you. What do you want to have in your life? And how do we help you find success and how you want to find success with a livelihood, with an income?
Well, I'm going to let you go answer other questions, but I just wanted to say thank you for your involvement in the Family Coalition. And I wish that you could stand there the way I do and hear the incredible quality and compassion with which those DHS ladies at the front office greet every person, and the culture in that building and how welcoming and excellent it is.
Oh, I appreciate that. And we'll follow up, shoot me an email and we can kind of follow up and do more. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Brenda, you had a question or comment. We can't hear you, Brenda.
Brenda.
Unmute. Okay.
There you go.
There you go. I was answering Kelly's question. I also want to thank Jim for being here. He's amazing. I love what he does. I've been doing, and it made me plug into Project Youth Plus. Just finished an amazing camp with them where we've touched a lot of kids, these very kids that we're talking about, that we are wanting to get into the system and on their way. And I feel that starting with the young ones, and I've got a camp coming up that's going to involve a lot of the Illinois Valley kids for the very same reason. Working with them, helping them deal with the traumas, the ACEs, experiences that they've experienced, and helping them feel good about who they are. I find that taking them into my home on my property and just loving them and supporting them opens them up to whatever it is we have to present. So it's already happening, this very thing, to join us at our camps. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do them alone, but they are wonderful. I just got a text from Kurt held home. They just went on and on how much they love talking to me and the counselors. So I know we are making today because she came up with COVID as well. But there is something going on in our very club that you can get involved in. Thank you. And thank you, Jim, for being here. Good to see you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Brenda's camps are definitely a great way for us to get involved in supporting the youth and connecting them to opportunities, for sure. Anybody else have any questions for Jim? For folks interested in seeing that, let's see what time is it. We're getting kind of close to the end. I want to leave time for Happy Bucks, but I see a few thumbs up. Jim, if you want to quickly share that last slide.
It's just a few slides. I can go through them really quickly here. This is a presentation that Guy Tower just did at our workforce board meeting Friday. Guy is the regional economist for OED. Can you see this slide okay?
Yes.
So just to give you, and I can't do it as well as Guy, but basically the headline on this is we have gained back most of the jobs lost during the last pandemic. You can see this kind of square root or V shape. That's the curve for the COVID recession. The blue line is the curve for the Great Recession. So you can see we've gotten most of those jobs back. It's just which was predicted, but it's kind of been taken. It seems like forever because COVID seems like forever. The unemployment rates are back to historically low levels, so we're basically back to full employment. We are at 140,000 people employed in our valley, and that is a record all-time high. We've never seen a civilian labor force this big. So that's kind of all the good news of it. The challenge is the bad news for companies and employers is that the labor shortage remains. There were 100,000 job vacancies recently and only 80,000 unemployed Oregonians is the estimate. So that's the gap. The difficulty in firing workers, the one I'm going to highlight here, I'm not going to read through all of them, is the big one in my mind is demographics. Baby boomers are retiring. We knew that. What I didn't know till about 18 months ago is we have a huge issue with declining birth rates. Think about the Great Recession. Think about just the delayed household beginnings, delayed family beginnings, et cetera, all this stuff. And all these stresses that are going on in the world between whatever you want to, global warming or wars and things like that. So we're basically experiencing the same thing that Japan has been experiencing for years. There's not enough young workers to replace the older workers. And China just actually increased their maximum family limits to 3 instead of 2. It used to be 1 because they're the most overpopulated country in the world and they're worried about a labor shortage. So, and then folks asked about some housing. We have been working closely as much as we can with the different housing partners in the region. It's a struggle and a challenge, as you can imagine. This is a chart that Guy showed that shows you the housing starts. We were eager to see what happens in 2022 and 2023 because we know there's a lot of ARPA money coming down through the housing and community services folks, and hopefully more multifamily. Single family is yet to be seen, but there's a lot of deeper issues around housing and the housing economics that we can perhaps fix in our region by ourselves. But this gives you some data around the homes inventory for sale. You can see we're at kind of lows. Not all-time lows, but pretty lows compared to the 2019, et cetera. And this is really just showing the home price index. And you can see this is increasing. So none of these are good pictures in that regard. It tells us we know where I have a map I can show you, national map that shows Jackson County is one of the counties that stick out because of the wildfire, as having really severe housing shortages in the country. I was told by one of the housing partners, the region was 10,000 units in the hole before the wildfire. Now it's just exponentially worse. So that's a big issue for workforce. It's a big issue for just housing writ large. It's one of the bigger challenging issues we have to kind of work together, figure out how do we plow our way out of this one. I think that's all I have. Yep.
I know I want to make sure we have time for Happy Books because we've missed that for a couple of weeks, but I see Debbie's hand up, so I'll let her ask a question and then we'll move to Sergeant at Arms.
So yes, Jim. So one of the problems that Grants Pass High School has is on low attendance records.
Yes.
And one of the factors we've come up with in trying to determine why our kids aren't coming to school is a lot of them are working late hours too many times a week.
Wow.
And are just tired to get up. Is that something that has been talked to you about?
No, that's the first I have heard that. We do know lots of kids work, but it actually makes total sense to me. We've heard mostly about attendance issues, particularly for high mobile families that move around quite a bit. That's historically something we see a lot of. So, but I will take that information and plug it into the conversations. I think, well, and keep sharing it yourself too, as with school district folks. I know I just met Tim Sweeney this morning, for the first time, and I know he's saying he's got a lot he's going to work on. We got to work on here. So I think I think it's all grist for the mill. That's what I say. Let's work the problems. I
just got this email this week, and so from Tim and Trish Evans, who's secondary. So if you could kind of talk to them a little bit about that problem, I'd appreciate it too.
Yeah, that would be interesting to kind of drill down and see where that data came from and see if we can kind of identify those students, because those were students we could potentially target market for these kind of apprenticeship
Right.
jobs
Right.
instead of the working at night. Because in that model, when at its ultimate, students are going to school like in their senior year, I think about half the day, and the other half the day they're actually on work site working.
Right. And I really think those are helpful programs, you know, and then getting school credit. But if the kids aren't doing their other academic activities, it's not going to work.
Gotta work together, totally. No, I love that. And I just want to just disclaim this, the stuff I've talked about, it sounds better than it actually is right now. This is all a work in progress. You know, we are not there yet. We don't have, we haven't even launched the front end of that. We just launched a program with Asante for some youth, and we just had 4 or 5 youth. So this is going to play itself out over the coming months, years, you know, even decades, I would say. This takes time to change systems. So, but if we're persistent, we can get it done. So let's stronger together. That's our motto.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jim. We really appreciate the information, and hopefully folks find ways to get plugged in. I wanted to point out, Bev mentioned in the chat that we have another opportunity to do this through the summer mock interviews at Grants Pass High School.
Perfect.
It looks like they're happening August 2nd and August 4th. So if you're interested in helping students out at the Summer Career Academy, that's a great way to get involved as well.
That is a great way. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, I want to leave a little bit of time. I know we're right at the top of the hour. But Kelly, if you want to kick off Sergeant at Arms and see if we've got some happy bucks out there.
I will, and I don't know if you all know this, but yesterday was Bagpipe Appreciation Day. Just letting you know that. And you know, we did our part though, didn't we, with Porch Fest? A little bit early.
Yeah.
Okay. Deb Amin she couldn't be here today, and she wanted us to know that she's given 30 bucks, happy bucks. Her happy bucks are because of her experience with Grocery Outlet at the 5+5 program, or 5-4-5. She volunteered at the food drive for kids, that as many of us did. We did too. It was a great experience. I am giving 20 bucks, and I'm doing it because I'm so grateful for some of these Rotarians among us that are doing so much, like Jody, who's doing this for the fair, and she wants us to work for the posse. And by the way, she did not give you those dates correctly. It's August 12th and 13th. And I think she put that in the chat, not this Friday and Saturday, August 12th and 13th. Doug Walker, who, by the way, in the sneak preview, he was voted as the humanitarian, the great humanitarian. But look at the work he's doing on our urban campground. Sorry about the language there, Val. And how many of us can get involved in this. I'm also grateful that among us is Lutz Kramer, who got our Teacher of the Year. Did you know that? For RCC, teacher voted as Teacher of the Year. This old guy managed to still get Teacher of the Year. And with that, it's time for you. What are your bucks for? Happy, sad, bring them on. I'll start with Bev.
Okay, my bucks are first of all, I wanted to say, I'm going to lower my hand. I wanted to say those 3 dots at the bottom of the chat are really good to save the chat, because all that information is in there. And I know Brenda was cutting in and out quite a bit. So if Brenda wants to connect with Jim, take a copy of the chat, or I'll send it to you. And then another thing I wanted to say was Steve Rowe was also in the, I have happy bucks for Steve, most community-minded business person. Hyla and Pat.
That's right.
Hyla and Pat. Fahey was mentioned in that one. Doug Walker, best humanitarian. Favorite middle school teacher, Bob Bath, was mentioned. Lutz, yay for the beer and all that stuff that he talked about. Favorite alternative medicine practitioner, Kristen Plunkett, yay, former member. Kathy was in there under favorite attorneys. Chris Mecca and Brett Ben Freudenberg. And so Rotarians all mentioned so many times. And anyway, those are where my happy bucks are going. And I think Steve's dog should have been under cutest pets. for
Oh,
sure.
I agree. Other than mine.
I got a lot of happy bucks to send in.
Okay, any other happy bucks? Who's got their hand up for happy bucks? I see Gina Marie.
I have my hand up for happy bucks. I'm gonna give 10 bucks because I'm glad that the Zoom link worked. And we all, I think we all got on today without any trouble. So
Hey,
hopefully that continues.
all right. Anybody else with happy bucks? Raise your hand. Okay, Deb.
Well, so just got back from Vancouver Island, British Columbia. We went on a fishing trip and came back with coho and Chinook and a lingcod. So I am in the midst of doing laundry. So happy and sad bucks.
Nice catch. Val Lovelace.
Yeah, I'm just happy to finally have my computer woes hopefully behind me. I also have been gone with a lot of family things, and it's nice to be back. So I'm just going to give 20 bucks for the happiness of being back with who I feel are my people, service oriented. So
We're glad to have you back. How about you, Laurel?
I would like to donate $50 for my two gorgeous little granddaughters. And pretty exciting to have two of them at the same time. So anyway, that's mine.
That's a worthy cause. And a cause for applause.
Right.
I don't see any other hands, Gina Marie, other than clapping hands. So it's back to you.
Hey there. All right. Well, thank you very much. I want to remind everybody that next week, Rebecca Stoltz will be joining us from the Josephine Community Library Foundation to talk to us about all the library capital campaigns. If you guys are not aware of what's going on, there is some incredible work being done to revitalize and grow our library services, not only in Grants Pass, but also out in the Illinois Valley and in Williams. And it's going to be really exciting to hear all of the amazing progress that is being made. So I hope you can join us next week. And I will leave you with a thought of the day, which I had actually put down for last week. It went with our program last week, but I think it's still fitting. In life, it doesn't matter what happens to you or where you came from. It matters what you do with what happens and what you've been given. That's from Ryan Holiday. So if there's nothing else, we'll see you all next week. Bye, guys.